Hey guys, in this video I just want you to think about a question to ask yourself. And it's, how do you envisage your daily routine when homeschooling? So I really want you to think about when you decide to homeschool. Maybe you've heard from other parents or other friends or maybe from websites how homeschool should be. But I really want you to think about how you want or how you think your daily routine is going to go when you start homeschooling. So let me just put a few ideas in your head. So do you see it as a practical, outdoor, kind of doing really practical activities with your children, getting them to think up of ideas for themselves, creativity? Do you envisage yourself planning a lot, setting out your house in a way that's really creativity stimulating? How do you envisage your storage or how you plan? Are you going to have a desk like what I see here, like a small little desk for the child if they're 5 or 6? Are you going to have an area where they know this is their study area or this is their work area? Or is it not going to be as set in this way? So think about your house right now and think about where your child, or if you have 2 or 3 children, or however amount of children you have, how is it going to be laid out in your house? Is there an area where they can go and they know, similar to this, they know I can do my work here in quiet. I have all the stuff and the resources that I need here, that I don't have to be getting up every 2 or 3 minutes to go get something in the kitchen. Then I have to go into the living room because I left some of my stuff there. So it's all about the planning and how you want your homeschool to be successful. Thinking of your environment first of all. Is maybe one of the rooms going to be used? You need to consider as well the ages of your children. If you have a child that's 10, 11, getting older and older, maybe a teenager even, do they have their own space where they can learn? Do you have even a play area for the 5, 6-year-old? And if not, that's absolutely fine as well. But it's just about sussing out where the activities are going to be mainly done. About that. So just think about that. After this video, I really want you to even write down a plan about where it's all going to happen. Maybe you've already, it's sussed already, you've got everything ready, you know exactly where it's going to be, and that's absolutely fantastic. But it's really important to think about the child as well, and you want them to be as organized as possible as well. Are you going to be following a schedule or a timetable? This is a more advanced one for maybe a teenager, for them to follow. And some children absolutely love this routine. But again, this is very much like a school timetable. So I wouldn't really be encouraging this too much. But again, some children just like to have the stability, know exactly what they're going to be doing day to day. And that's absolutely fine. For the younger ones, you might have a visual chart so they know, and it can be swapped and changed daily. Again, as you can notice with this timetable, it doesn't say a time, but it gives a general what we're going to do before 10:30. So we might say, do a bit of spellings, we're going to do a bit of reading, and then you're going to be on the computer doing maybe maths games or phonics or something like that. And on Wednesday, we're going to be out straight away in the morning for physical education. We're going to go for a walk, we're going to go to the park, then we're going to come back, do spellings, do reading. Something like that is absolutely fine as well. Again, it's not necessary, it's only ideas of maybe a visual chart somewhere in the house, which might be nice to set up so your child knows and you know what you're doing for the day or for the week. This one then is a similar one, but it's all in pictures, so 7 to get up, right through to 9 o'clock. As you can see, it gets less and less, but it shows you through picture form what they're doing. Now, this as well could be your chores as well, and it's also them learning the time. So this could be a bit of your maths lessons for the younger kids, learning, okay, what time is it now? Looking at the clock, it's 9:30 and it's Tuesday. And let them create as well their time schedule. But do you see yourself having a time schedule up in the house so that everyone knows what you're doing and when you're doing it? Or do you want it to be more freely and more relaxed and kind of seeing how the day goes and having more work in the afternoon or doing something nice in the morning? It all depends on, again, you. These are just some suggestions of what some families have been doing. Are you thinking of a reward chart? this can be really effective because I think, especially with homeschool, a reward chart doesn't have to mean, about writing or about the subjects in particular. It's about maybe your task was to make your bed and maybe do hoover, depending on the age of your child as well. Maybe they have hung out the clothes and then they've eaten all the dinner, they've eaten all their veg, depending on you. Depending on your child, you can set up a reward system and you can talk with them. Like, so if you have done 5 chores, or if you've done 5 tasks or 6 tasks every day, or if you get 10 stickers by the end of the week, we can have a movie time, or we can go swimming, or we can go somewhere that they would want to go to, maybe something really, really nice that they'd like to do. So reward charts are very good. And I can see even in families that don't even homeschool that they have a reward chart in place, that children are doing their chores and doing different things around the house, that they are rewarded for the work that they're doing. So even emptying out the dishwasher, something like that, can be really, really helpful. So a reward chart could be good for a homeschool when they've done their work and they've done some of their chores. They get a reward. So either at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, they build up all their stickers or their stars or their rewards, and then you can have a fun day out, something fun that they like to do, even just swimming, or even just as a family going to a picnic. But you and your child and your children can come up with what rewards they would like at the end of a certain amount of time, and it makes them more motivated and makes them really want to do well and do their chores and do their work. So it's a great way to have a reward system in your house if it suits your children, if it suits your family lifestyle. This is just a sample homeschool planner that I set up for a family. It was a family that had 3 children, obviously not their real names, but it was Molly, Jack and Jessie. Molly's 11, Jack's 8 and Jessie is 6. So where you see the yellow star is where the parent was specifically just with that child for that amount of time. Again, this particular family didn't have any set time, but it was a general kind of routine where they would get up and Molly would be reading independently by herself. Jack would be working with the parent on a particular core concept or something that needs to be given time and one-to-one tuition with the parent and Jack. So they'd be going through maths with that, while Jessie, who is 6, would be doing phonics games on the iPad, going through letters and sounds and words that rhyme, something like that. They would be working independently on that. Then after that, you can see that the parent then will move on and be with Molly for this amount of time. Again, with maths, they'll be working again on a core concept or revising a certain or an important concept in maths, while Jack will be independently reading and Jessie would be doing some handwriting skills, holding the pencil, maybe some drawing during this time. It doesn't need to be an awful lot of involvement of a parent, that they can be just getting used to the pen and writing words. Also, she could be writing her news, all about holding the pencil, making sure they're in between the lines and practicing that. Then they all have a break together, a bit of free time, go outside for a while. Then they come back in and Molly and Jack could be writing independently or helping each other out on something. And that could be anything from writing a report on the Presidents of America to writing a diary entry to writing a story, depending on what you're focusing on at that time or what they're interested in. And you as the parent, again the yellow star is beside maths with Jessie, you will be working on counting or addition and subtraction or different things like that with Jessie on her maths. And then after that, as you can see, the parent has spent one-to-one time with that child for a certain amount of time, depending again on the topic and what they are doing during that day. And then for the rest of the day, they'll be doing science together, so they might go outside and they might be learning about growing plants or looking at flowers. And for the older kids, they'll be looking at the word germination and pollination. As a family, you might be planting and making a beautiful garden at your house, or you might be looking at the earth and space, or you might be looking at magnets or whatever, electricity, whatever it is that you're looking at this particular time, but you could do it all together. So you as a parent will be with Molly, Jack and Jessie the whole time. Then you might prepared for lunch, you have lunch, and then after lunch then might be religion. So all together again, you and the 3 kids will be going through your beliefs and prayers or different values that you want to instill in your child. And that's absolutely fine, and that'll be that time. And then afterwards it says PE, so that could be let's go to the park, let's go swimming. Any physical exercise at this time you and the 3 kids could do. Maybe do an obstacle course outside, or go play tennis, doing something active for the afternoon. So that's just a sample planner of how you might work your daily plan that you're working with a child. And it might swap around, so you might say, okay, I really need to teach them about how to write a diary entry, or they don't really know how to write a news report. So I'm going to focus today with Molly on how to write a news report so that she knows for again. So I'm going to spend half an hour, 40 minutes with her, while Jack and Jessie are doing reading together. So they might be paired reading. So it's all about just daily routine. So that was just a sample one that we've used before. Yours again might be different, or you might want to take some suggestions from this planner. I mentioned the lollipops before in equipment that you need, and I always find if you're working with one child, this is especially useful again if you have 2 or more children, that if you're working with one child on something really important that they just aren't understanding, or if it's something in maths like 2D or 3D shapes and they just need that time with you for you to go through the shapes and go through what they're like and how you know, and the edges and the vertices and the faces, keywords like that you need to spend time with this child. The other 2 children need to know what they're going to be doing. I always find the lollipops is great, and I've seen them where they're labelled. You might have 3 or 4 pots with 10 or 15 lollipops in each one, and it might be labelled, one might be for writing, and this one here is a writing one, so it's a story starter. So you'd write a story starter on the lollipop sticks and they have to continue on. So that might be the writing task for the day. As you can see here, it'd be like, I'm proud of myself because, and they would continue on, pick one of these lollipop sticks out, and they have to write whatever it says. Again, it doesn't have to be laminated and printed up like these ones are here. You could literally just write on them. Or you might have another pot with lollipop sticks where it's fun activities or create a word search, or it might tell you to write a rap song. Different things like that. It can be as fun and as engaging. You know your children, you can write down whatever they might be interested in. So you might have different pots with lollipop sticks in them, and one might be for writing, one might be for maths, one might be for art, one might be for like a lucky dip, so you might get a treat if you do something. I find these really good because if you're working with one child, you can say to the others, okay, pick a lollipop stick from one of the pots, and you can create that. Another pot that I've actually thought about is project pot. You pick a lollipop stick and there's a project on it, so it'd be like research. This would be for the older kids as well, but research, who invented the telephone. And you'd have to do a project on the person that invented the telephone, or who invented the first plane. And they'd have to go off and research who did invent the first plane. So different interesting like that you know they might be interested in, or it might be general knowledge pot. So I just love these, and I love using lollipop sticks, but I think it's so good so that your time and your attention is on this one child and trying to get this key concept or whatever they're struggling with, while the others then are busy with either lollipop sticks. Again, just like that, I know I keep going on about the lollipop sticks, but you could have just a blank piece of paper where they can write a birthday card for someone, or a greeting, or a poster, or just word searches available, or colouring sheets for them to do. But I always find, especially with the older children, giving them project ideas, getting them really enthusiastic in something while you're working with another child is really, really important, and is really, really effective. So again, back to this main question. How do you envisage your daily routine? So I hope that gives you some ideas when you actually think about, how am I going to plan my daily routine? If you have one child, if you have 2 children, 3, how am I going to plan it around them and make it most effective for me and my children? How am I going to manage the lunchtime, dinner time, workload? And so I hope some of the suggestions that I've said above, like the planner, how are you going to plan your time with your children? And as you can see from my planner, that you don't have to be with all the children all the time. Give them some independence, and that is so important, that they are independently learning as well, that they're not dependent on you, that they can go for themselves, they can read by themselves, they can write sometimes by themselves, and that's all very, very good. You're not neglecting them by doing that. It's so important for them to develop the independent skills, that if they are stuck on a word, that they don't immediately say, oh, my mum's just going to tell me that they try and figure out what the word might mean, sound it out for themselves. After this video, I want you to really think about how you are going to plan your own daily routine. Maybe it suits you better to do most of the work in the afternoon or the evening, and that's absolutely fine as well, but it's all about kind of planning and how effective it is, and to realise that children do like some sort of routine, whether it's in the afternoon or the morning, but whenever the learning is taking place in your home, that it is at the normal time, so your children are familiar with the routine and the schedule that your household is in. So after this video, I really want you to write down on a piece of paper how you plan your daily routine with your homeschool. If you're a type of family that wakes up at 7 and you can start straight into your work then, that's absolutely fine. If it's just chaotic at the house in the morning and nothing can really start till 12 or 1, that's absolutely fine as well. Work around it, but how do you plan to cater for your child or your children's needs when you're homeschooling? So write down a simple plan. It doesn't have to be typed up or anything. It could be just on a piece of paper, how roughly you're going to be managing, especially if you have 2 or more children. How are you going to manage the learning around them and their needs and their abilities? As you can see from my planner, it only takes a couple of minutes to plan, but it just solves so many problems, and it can end so many different arguments, where if you have a plan done up in your kitchen or wherever it's visually seen in your house, that everyone is on the same page and everyone knows what they're doing on a daily basis. It helps to reduce stress for both you and the child, and it reduces the anxiety. The child knows exactly what they're going to be doing that day. And are you going to be doing a reward system? So if they do these different things every day, what rewards will they get? So just think about how this will work for your family and plan out some sort of schedule that you feel may work for your family. If you want to, of course, share that in our Facebook community. I'd love to see how you are thinking of doing your homeschooling, and also as a community we can bounce ideas off each other's and get suggestions. I think that will be really worthwhile.